Welcome to Overflow the podcast, formerly the In This Together podcast, still hosted by Maya, me, now joined by Blakely.
We're inviting you into real, honest conversations with guests like Chance and Isla
And friends, all about life, faith,
health, relationships, and more. It's not about having it all together.
It's about letting God lead. By His grace,
Not ours, our cups overflow, even in the wild and barren places, just like Psalm 23 promises.
So grab your laundry basket, start your walk, or just take a breather.
We're so glad you're here.
Everyone, and welcome back to Overflow the podcast. We are overjoyed that you decided to join us today. We have a very, very exciting guest on. You might not recognize her. It is not Maya today, but none other than the Abby Maxson Walsh is joining us today. We are going to be talking about gatherings, community, the realities of building community, and starting a business. So I am your host, Blakely. Maya will not be joining us today, but in her place is the one and only Abby Maxson Walsh. Yay! Abby, can you give us a little intro just about the season of life you're in and all the things?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I have to say, just the work that you and Maya are doing is just so great to watch. And I know y'all are just making such an impact. So I'm so grateful to be here today. But yeah, so a little bit about me. So Blakely and I actually went to Pepperdine together, and we'll share more about
waves.
Yes, exactly. About our story and how we met and everything. But so I'm 24. I'm originally from Minnesota, grew up there, and then moved to Pepperdine and did my undergrad and then grad school there. Got my MBA at Pepperdine as well. And then it's through also Blakely that I met my now husband. So if she sets you up with someone, you got to just trust her.
I'm charging next time.
You have to. I might owe you some.
She put me in the wedding. That was
exactly. No, you're the biggest blessing. Anyway, so went to Pepperdine there, and then I now have a business called Parti Packs, which just is totally something that, thank you, that God worked in my heart just throughout college and just so many things. And so I love the aspect of hosting and just celebrating people well, and just so I'm just so excited to be here and to chat more. But yes, I know, I'm so excited.
Yay, I know. Abby and I have the most fun story ever because it's not often that you go to school in California and one of your best friends ends up marrying one of your best friends from home. Yeah. It's just crazy.
It's crazy.
And you're not from the South. So it's not like you're like, you know, coming back to your roots. You're from Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah, if you can't tell. But if I say anything different or weird, that may be why.
It's the best. All right, so we have, kind of like we said, a crazy journey of how we became friends, and then all that it's led to, from now a girls gathering that we do together to now Abby doing Parti Packs. There's a few things that were instrumental along the way in the early years of college. Do you want to just start us off and share?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Blakely and I first met, I'll share that through DMs. Blakely was my first friend at Pepperdine, and I'll remember being like, Mom, I finally have a friend. Like, this is so exciting. Like, we're DMing in July and we get to go to school. But so I think one of like the first moments was this picnic that Blakely and I got to plan together. Well, actually, you were planning it. You were like in our sorority, handled all of the senior programming, and it was my sister who was a senior and all of her friends part of it. And I was like, Blakely, I'd love to help you with this senior picnic. And so it was in that moment we spent a whole day together. We ran around everywhere to the LA Floral Market. We were in downtown.
It was so sketchy.
It was so sketchy. And then Olivia also joined us, and we had lunch. But anyway, yeah, we took time for lunch, but we were running.
Thank you for adding
yes.
that in.
Yes.
Don't worry, guys. We did eat.
We did. But we were just running around doing so many different errands, just prepping for the senior beach picnic. And so, hauling like these plywood planks onto the splinters
all over
your
us.
Poor car. We were shoving wood literally I can't even. But so that's kind of where like we were just talking about this, but just where kind of like, well, my heart for Parti Packs originally had started with just saying yes to doing that event, and then also just becoming even closer friends with you, which also has led to now Girls Together and like our heart just for hosting and also just pulling people together for community. But
so amazing. And it's so cool because when we sent those DMs, which the power of a DM is crazy.
It's the power of a DM. Yeah.
Truly think most of the best things in my life have come from an Instagram DM. That is dramatic. But I'm not even
No,
joking.
you should trademark
I mean, Lawson and I are dating because you DM me.
Yeah. I love
it. Anyways, it's so crazy because that DM was prior to going to Pepperdine.
Yeah.
And then we got to Pepperdine and we both joined Delta Gamma and anchor down. And then we go through our freshman year, and honestly, we were friends, but we weren't like running in the same circle.
Yeah.
We weren't close friends.
Right.
But it's so crazy because in God's timing, a year and a half, almost 2 years later, we planned this senior picnic together, and it was so random and so just the Lord's hand over all of it, because I just felt like I was in a season where I really needed a spark and just passion, and it was COVID, and I think we were all just feeling like, oh my gosh, what are we doing in life, and what is life, and are we ever going to get out of this COVID funk? And we were in California, so it was craziness.
Yes.
Just total shutdown. And we got to this picnic together, and it was for both of us just so cool looking back, seeing that all that God's done since then with Girls Who Gather, and then leading you to doing Parti Packs, which is the ultimate hosting and gathering and celebratory business. And it's so crazy because I feel like although that day was such a small day when you look at it, it's crazy how much came from that day and what it sparked in us. And so do you mind just sharing kind of like from there on how that led to us doing another business together, and then how that took us to Girls Who Gather?
Yes, absolutely. Well, and then also it's so crazy because we got closer doing that, and then like a year later we went to Hawaii together, and like that was like, anyway. So just saying, I think also tying into that, just like looking back on college and saying yes to those opportunities with friends to be able to do those events, to go and have the experience is so important.
For sure.
But yeah, so from there, Blakely and I, we had started kind of just wanting, like, we started something called Abby Blake events, which you can still look it up on Instagram. But, and we bought a bounce house. We were like, this is a great idea because I think I was doing programming at the time for DG, and we had a big bounce house. So like, this is genius. They just like bring this bounce house, blow it up, and leave. And so I'm like, we buy one.
Of course.
It
in the
is
car.
the heaviest thing. I don't think we anticipate. Anyway, so basically,
there's like 1,000 holes in it.
Yeah, because we dragged it on the grass instead of actually carrying it how you should.
If you drove by Pepperdine, you would see beautiful Pepperdine, and then on Alumni Field in the front was our bounce house.
Our bounce house, exactly. But it was so fun because I remember we've had so many. I remember us like not wanting to talk to each other for a second, or like I'm like, I didn't want to text you because I knew we had to fix the holes, or like I knew anyway, whatever. That's a funny story, but yeah, so basically we bought a bounce house, which now has been used by DG, and it's so great. It's got its use, but it didn't really end up being used how we intended, which is
a
just
lesson learned.
Yeah, and my dad always has told me to name experiences, because it's like you can look back on decisions and be like, so I think of, oh, is this a bounce house decision of buying something, not really testing out the market at all and just kind of going for it. But I do think there's a power in going for it, because it also, you know, you feel like you have more capability and confidence by doing things like that. But it's funny to look back on that. But so we had that for a little bit. We have a photo shoot. We had pictures. We did balloons. We can show you. But leading up to there is evidence. But leading up to that, Blakely and I were post-grad. You were in Hawaii, and then you came back, and we lived in the Palace. It's so sweet also to think back throughout college and then post-grad. We had always been like literally a walk away from each other, which is such a gift.
Crazy.
But during that time, I remember we were like, why isn't there anything where we can just gather with girls our age? Like, why isn't there? And there maybe was, but there wasn't anything that we had seen or on our hearts. And we also wanted to just have it be a place where you could come and know the Lord. You don't have to have a faith or a strong faith to come. That's our goal, for you to come and just be and have an activity and food and hear an encouraging message. And so that led us to doing our very first Girls Who Gather in California, like I'd say probably about a year ago, little over a year. And we did a dinner at my apartment in the Palisades, and we laughed because it was like, there's no AC, you know, it is hot. It's all like August, in California. And so
it might be 1 year to the day.
We got to check that out.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. But so we were like, let's just start inviting people, and let's just do this one thing. We'll just see, like, we'll just let God take it. And I'll never forget, you know, you text people, I text people. We truly had no idea how many people would sign up. We were just like, just come. Here's the address. bring whoever, we were like, no stop the community, just come, and I remember we set the table and just made food like pasta and just made it. We wanted it to be around a table, just the first one, just to create that time and space for conversations. And I'll never forget that it was so many cool stories. I'll let you talk about it, but there was like the exact amount of seatings where every single spot was filled. Like,
so crazy.
And there was like more than enough food left over. And anyway, we can talk about that more throughout Girls Who Gather, but I just think so much of, Jesus and feeding the 5,000, where he always provides, and he provided more. Like there was leftover and everyone had a place, which is so sweet, because I feel like in that we were like, wow, God sees us, God sees this, and he cares.
Yeah.
But
it was so cool, because when we started Girls Who Gather, I think it was initially your idea. And you were like, I just want to create something where we can come together. I think you were like, I want to host something at my house, whatever. And there was just, we both felt like it is so hard to make community in any season of life, but specifically post-grad, because unless you're at a church, which obviously there's things within a church where you can meet people, but still sometimes even it can just feel so like forced.
Yeah.
And it really can be hard to just naturally make friends in a church setting. And then other than that, we were like, okay, well, we don't really like go out much. So like, I think that's how people make friends. But like, we're not really doing that. And so how can we just create something that is so authentic and natural? And I hate at the end of a long day when you go to something and you're forced to just stand and talk to people you don't know. It is the most exhausting, awkward, undesirable thing ever. And so I think Girls Who Gather really just started at the heart of the issues we had with gatherings. It was like, I don't want it to be awkward. I don't want it to feel forced. I don't want it to be something where you have to be, a certain religion, look, whatever. Like, we really just want it to be a place where anyone can come and gather. And we were living in California. And so I think the landscape for the type of person that would come was just so such a wide range of ages. And we had someone in their 30s. We had someone who was, early 20s. And so it was just it quickly became something where each time we did it, like Abby said, it was so crazy. We would show up, have no idea how many people were coming. The exact amount of placemats would be filled. And then it would be like, we have no idea where the next one's going to be. And then that one would end and someone would walk up to us and be like, I want to offer you my house, or I want to offer you my backyard. Or God just provided so much. And I think sometimes when, you're in a situation where you're wanting community, it can be so scary to step out, and it could be like, oh my gosh, is anyone going to show up? I mean, I've done things where no one does show up, and that's okay too. And you learn so much, but there's certain things that God calls us to that we feel deep within us. Like Abby and I both were like, I just feel like we're supposed to say yes to this and do it. And you can share a little bit more about how each time we've done it, we have had to face this almost lack of desire to do it, and just so much pushback. Do you want to share
definitely
a little on that?
But just like everything that you were saying, I think too with community, it's like not always easy, and I think it looks different in different seasons and what God has for you in that season, the people he puts in front of you. But I just think, again, I feel like I keep hearing us say like just saying yes, and I think just like if you feel God or the Holy Spirit nudging you to be like, reach out to this person or go to this event. I think, we've seen so many stories where people are like, a friend of a friend just told me to come, and I'm here, and now I met this person, and now I'm in this friend group. And it's like, it's not necessarily just saying yes to like, oh God, I don't know who's going to be there, but it's also like, who are they friends with that could also see a place for you and have, community for you too. So, but we've received a lot of pushback with that. Like, I just think even before each event, I feel like we definitely can feel, the enemy against, because obviously the Lord wants us to gather. He wants us to not feel alone or isolated, because the enemy can get us when we are alone and isolated. And so I think that like literally before, I think our last one in California was one of the biggest, we were both so tired, and we were doing a movie, a cute little movie night, which was so fun. And I remember like making the popcorn and being like, Blakely, I think I'm gonna faint or get sick. I have no idea. I just felt this wave of, I don't even know what. And so you went in the bathroom with me, and I just
literally ran to the bathroom.
I was like, I literally feel so sick. Like, so that happened once. And then our most recent one, which is also kind of my fault, but I was running around getting things ready and I like sliced my toe like in the door anyway. And I was like, oh my word, God, how am I going to carry these things? I have to be there. And these are just like little examples, but just to know there's always going to be pushback when you're going to step out and do something, you know, for the Lord, and to meet others who, you know, who will bring you closer to the Lord and just experience community.
Yeah.
But,
and even we see it in Romans and Ephesians. God calls us. We are a part of a body. We are not the body. Yeah. We are a part of the body. And so many times throughout scripture, even just with Jesus and the disciples, the emphasis on community and being around people is so huge. And I think something that came out of COVID was this okayness with like isolation and solo time and taking the time to be alone, which is so great. I'm not against being alone. I've had a lot of time alone this last year. But I think that in that we've almost missed this emphasis on community and the uncomfort of pushing yourself into community. And I think that's what we're all about with Girls Who Gather. And it's not just for the people that we, you know, have come. It's also so much for us of just creating space where we can step out and push ourselves and meet people. And do think that there is such a beauty that comes from pushing yourself into community, whether that's initiating it or whether that's saying yes to the invite that you receive.
Genesis 2, like we were talking, where it's like literally God just made the world, made man. He goes, it's not good for man to be alone. And I just think we went to a church in Malibu called Vintage Malibu, and our pastor there would always just say, it's not good for man to be alone. We are meant to be in community. We are meant to have other people help us along the way to get to different things and to achieve our goals and to support each other. And so I just think that that's something, you know, I always try to think back. It's like, I'm not meant to be alone. Like, I'm not meant to do this life alone. We need people. We need each other. And God wants that for us, because God can speak through other people for us to lead us to where he's calling us to be.
Yeah, that's so good. And something I just feel even just come to my heart and mind right now is I think there's someone out there listening to this who is like, I don't receive invites to things and I don't have the ability, capacity to create something like Girls Who Gather. So I think something that I would say to you listening in that is there are so many unique ways to find community. And I've been in seasons where my community, as silly as it sounds, and I'm always pro in-person community, but I think that there are so many amazing resources online. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with Overflow a bit too, is for those of you that, you know, maybe you're living somewhere for a season that is so removed from people, there are so many ways through online means where you can find community. And do you have anything to add to that?
No, but I feel like too, it's also, I think it can be so hard because I think we hear this community. I know it's good and it is good, but like you're saying, it can look in so many different forms. Or maybe this is in a season of life where you're newly married, or you have your family and you're trying to put your effort there, or there's someone in your family you need to support more, or there's, you know, wherever. And I think that in itself also can look like community, like just how are you, you know, I think it all kind of comes to like the power of just showing up, you know, for people and going out to community and finding your community. But yeah, like even I think like, yes, we met through a DM, like you can meet people through, or even like, I've seen people become friends through TikTok or like messaging people, you know. I just think it's like, there's so many moments where you can have the opportunity to make others feel seen. And whether that is like sending a text or just having a conversation with someone, or if you have a lot of long distance friends right now, like making, you know, the intention to make time to call them, you know, just things like that, where it shouldn't feel overwhelming and it shouldn't feel like, what does my even community look like, or what should a perfect community look like? And there is no perfect community, I think, but it's just I think just listening to the Lord and just saying that prayer of like, God, I feel a little alone, or I feel lost, and I need people around me. Can you show me? Because actually that was a prayer a girl had coming to our first Girls Who Gather event.
Gosh, yeah.
And she, you can share that story.
Yeah, this is so cool. And after this, we'll move on to Parti Packs. But we had this was really so special that happened at our first, because I think this showed Abby and I the true desire there was, the ways that girls were seeking community. So there was a girl who, she was a singer, and she wouldn't mind us sharing this on here, but she basically had this moment where she came to church. She had been in and out of the church for years. She came to church one Sunday and she was like, Lord, I am done back and forth. I am so done. I'm all in. basically what she said. And in that, she went home and she was like, oh crap, all of my friends in my community are not pursuing you, Lord.
Yeah.
So in order to go all in, I'm going to have to take a step back from those friends for a little while. And she just felt like God said, give me 2 weeks. And so in that time, she was making Pinterest boards, which is so sweet. I love this so much. Just encourages me to dream with God also. But she's making Pinterest boards of like what she dreamed her community would look like. And one of the things she had put on her Pinterest board was, so pause that. She shows up to our first gathering and it was 2 weeks to the day from when God had told her, give me 2 weeks. And when I say God had told her, she just felt in her spirit, like, I need to wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so 2 weeks to the day is our first gathering. And she looks at the table and it's exactly what she had put on her Pinterest board. And she just shared it with us and was crying and was like, it is just so crazy how much God wants us to be in community and the means he will go to get us there. And she showed up from a friend's invite and that friend didn't even come.
Yeah.
So the fact that she showed up, not even knowing, did not know a soul, just showed up and we were like, who are you?
Yeah.
And she was like, hello. And it's just so wild. Sometimes just the ways that God orchestrates community into our life, and it might come quickly or it might take years even. And even with us, like we weren't friends right away.
True.
It took time to really develop and foster that. So if you feel like giving up, just keep pushing and keep begging God to put people in your life because he designed you to have that, and it might not come in the timing you expect, but it will come.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
And to add to that, I think back to senior year, there's just Alyssa and I, one of our friends, we had like a senior Bible study, but it was literally just the two of us meeting once a week for almost a year. And so it's just, and then that led to us having an even smaller group post-grad of like 4 girls getting together. And it's like, wow, even if it's just that one person or, you know, there's moments where it's just you and I, and we're going on a walk. And, but I think it can look like community can just be, you know, a great friend that you have there and is there for you. And, but yeah, I think, I know I did want to share like some challenges with community.
Yes.
I think we talked about that. I think we, you know, it's not easy. Like we shared, you know, some different things that we were saying. And I think, well, my mom always tells me that, you know, you got to choose your heart because like it's hard to feel isolated and it's also hard to put yourself out there, you know, so you kind of have to pick, but also asking the Lord, you know, what you need in that season, of course. And I think too, it takes sacrifice, you know, like there's moments where you could be doing so many other things with your time, but putting aside those things and going, you know, and making time for that. And it can also be uncomfortable, you know, but I think any good thing comes on the verge of feeling uncomfortable because you are stretching yourself. So I think it's so good to remember like, okay, God, you know, I'm feeling nervous, I'm uncomfortable, or I don't have a friend. And there's been moments where before going to events where I just pray, God, just give me one person. Who's that person that, or just someone to talk to me, you know, like, and I think, anyway, I've had some cool stories with that, but I think it can be just like the power of even just the one, you know, that one person, or if she didn't get that one invite from her friend. So yeah, just kind of thought that I'd add all that stuff from there.
So good. I love the 3 points. Will you say those again? It's uncomfortable.
It's not easy. It takes sacrifice and it's uncomfortable.
So good. So good.
But it's all worth it. Yeah.
It is all worth it. It even makes me think I did a little like pickleball thing in when we were in Malibu, and the first gathering, no one showed up. Literally, it was me, and I dragged your roommate Alyssa. Y'all were somewhere. I don't know where. I think you're out of town or something. But it was so funny because we show up to the pickleball courts, and of course, I'm expecting like 20 people to be there. Not one person. And it was the most humbling thing ever, but I had to laugh and be like, okay, you know, whatever. And week by week, little by little, it's not about numbers, but it ended up just being something that blessed me so much more maybe than even others. And sometimes when you take this step towards community, it's not always going to be like the outcome might not be a ton of people. I always say obedience isn't in correlation to outcome. And so if God calls you to something, don't expect the outcome immediately to be 60 people. I mean, even with Girls Who Gather, we started with like 8 girls around the table, and
most of them were our friends. We were like, you have to come.
We're like our roommates. And so now it's so cool because over time God has grown that. But even now we're like, we don't really care how many people come.
No.
Even if it's for the one girl, and Maya and I always say this too, even if it's for one person who's feeling lonely and needs to see there's other girls pursuing God.
So true.
And want to do that in a fun way and want to do that in a way that's not, stereotypical. Like that is okay. So all that to say, I feel like we both clearly have such hearts for community and gathering and hosting and all the things. How did that heart lead to what you are now doing, Parti Packs?
Parti Packs. Oh my word. It has been, we were just talking about this obviously before the podcast, but just sharing how basically, so we had that picnic where that kind of spurred something in my heart. And I was like, okay, God, this was really fun. I felt something that I'd never felt before. Time just passed like crazy. I didn't even know really where I was, where you just are so like in the zone of what you feel God's calling you to do. And so anyway, so started from there. And then from that, I did recruitment for DG and then programming and events, and also just have that as an encouragement for just saying yes to those opportunities and to learn. I think learning in college is so important, and having those experiences so anyway, so I started doing that, and then friends were like, can you do my birthday for me? Or would you do my grad party? And there's so many funny stories for me, like having my sister help me lug ice up a big hill, or like, I don't know, just so many funny things where it doesn't always look as, glamorous. And, but so anyway, so kind of leading up to that, then I remember, so I did 4 years undergrad and then a year kind of like my MBA. And I remember leaving one of my classes and just was like, why isn't there something where I can just get everything in a box? I just ship me the box. I don't want to have to go and order everything like all over. And so I had this idea. I called Connor, my boyfriend at the time, now husband, who Blakely introduced me to. And I was like, what about this idea? And of course, he's like, that's an amazing idea. He's like top one encourager. I was like, okay, thank you, whatever.
You're like, I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. And so, but even so I had that idea. And then from there, I just kind of started, any opportunity if someone was having a birthday, I'm like, can I just do the decorations? Like, you tell me a theme, I will do it for you. And I'd spend money. I wouldn't make any money. And just throughout college, just like learning from there. And so then I was doing it part-time, finished school, and then just worked part-time and did events, and then helped with some recruitment stuff for DG, and then just kind of had little opportunities here and there pull. And then now fiance at the time, but husband now, Connor, he got a job here in Florida. And so I was like, okay, like we got to move here. And I couldn't do my job anymore. And I totally felt God. I was like, oh, you want me to do this completely, don't you? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And that was honestly like, I'm still learning so many different things, but that was like the hardest part, to be like, okay, God, yes, I will do this. And each day I literally need you to carry me through what this looks like, release any stress, anxiety, because that is so scary, taking that leap. But just to encourage people, I feel like that is truly one of the hardest steps. And I'm only less than a year in and still learning. I always want to preface that, but so far up to this point, I feel like that was the hardest. But I also think like without, having that college experience, or, doing different events in college, or us even having a bounce house or other things, it's like, or having internships and experiences, it's like those were so important, because everything I learned leading up, and I think it's so sweet that God does this, because each season he prepares you for the next. And so I love sitting and looking back and be like, God, if you didn't teach me that one thing in this internship, like I wouldn't be organized in this way. Or if I didn't know, or if you didn't give me the confidence to fail in that aspect and now know I'm okay, it's going to be okay. Anyway, just saying all those things leading up. And then also it's just to think, okay, what season am I in right now that God's preparing me for to enter into? But so I guess with Parti Packs, I should explain what it is. I always just start talking about the story. But so basically we do, so originally started as I wanted to do like these curated boxes of decorations I thought people wanted, which people liked them, but now it's completely different as it was 5 months ago. So I work a lot with like weddings. So if you're getting married and you need all your decor, you want all
She's the best.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh my gosh, thank you. But all like the small details of things, it's like, oh, I need the cups, I need the napkins, wait, like, and there's just so many little details. It's like people just come to me and we can handle everything that you need. Welcome bags, party packs, all the things,
of course,
but no, or like bachelorettes, just basically any event. We do merch, PR boxes for companies, tote bags, like literally I just want to be someone where you can come to and be like, oh, I need this. And it is stressful going to so many different sources. I don't know who to trust. How can I just go to one person and communicate with them and they handle it for me? So I kind of think of it as like you're kind of like event planner.
shop.
Yeah, your one-stop shop, but kind of your online event planner, kind of, you know.
Love it.
So anyway, that's kind of Parti Packs and my heart behind that. And I feel like God kept telling me this saying of it's like all the decorations you need because everyone deserves to be celebrated. And I think it's like whatever season of life you're in, or I have calls with people all the time where they're like, I'm celebrating my sister's getting engaged. She obviously doesn't know. You know, it's just like, wow, I just want to be a part of making people feel special and making people see themselves how God sees them. And that's just my heart with it, whether it's a custom cup or a custom napkin, but just seeing people's faces light up. Like, I'll never forget at our wedding, handing one of our welcome bags to one of Connor's groomsmen. He's like, I get one too. And I was like, yeah, like, of course. But just seeing the biggest smile, like, I just think that to me is like, wow. Like,
Was it Trajan?
No, it wasn't Trajan. Trajan.
That felt on brand.
Yeah,
him.
that I'm sure he was excited. I just didn't see his.
He also was excited.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
but I guess all that to say, that's just kind of my heart with that, and just taking that wherever God wants to take it. But it's been really sweet to see, and yeah,
so
Parti
good,
Packs.
so good. And something I was thinking about when you were sharing that is the most impactful part to me of your whole journey, honestly, was in the very beginning when you were busting your butt. I feel like it's easy to come on here and, you know, maybe someone's listening and they're like, oh, you know, maybe she had financial help, or maybe all these opportunities just like fell into her lap, but you were babysitting all throughout college, absolutely nonstop. You had internships, you had jobs, you were doing everything you could to pursue this dream. And I think it was so cool, even just looking back. I think sometimes we have dreams and we're so eager to get to them that we rush God's timing with them, or we just do anything to force them to happen. And with you, I got to see you be like, I know this is something I eventually want to do, but right now I really need to just make money and get to the place where I can invest in this wisely. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like the beginning of your journey was almost like, there's this dream and I want to get to it, but right now I need to do the hard work. That's totally not glamorous. It doesn't look like I'm pursuing my dream, but all those things led to you getting to do Parti Packs.
It's so true. And I feel like even today, driving here, thinking about all the different things to do today, I was like, God, just you be with me today. Because I think it's each day looking, well, how can I take action today?
Yes.
And like, I think you're asking like if there's any advice. I know you'll get into that, but that just comes off that point of like, you know, taking that action. And it's true. I was like, oh my word, that was a crazy season. And it was like, you know, you're not getting a lot of sleep. You are busting your butt, but it's because you have a passion inside of you, or that I felt that God was like, keep moving. I will carry you. Like I literally look back and it's each day, you know, just grinding and push. Yeah. Cause I was always babysitting to fund. I was like, God, I know I have this dream. So, and I'm going to need money for it one day to, you know, to start this. And I want it to be something that I have worked hard being really, you know, young to build that up so I can do this. And I could go into so many stories of just how God's provided in so many amazing ways in that. But yeah, to your point, it's not always glamorous, and it's just, and each day I have to be like, God, what's the word today? Like, what are you going to give me? And over and over, I hear trust. And I think it's like, if you have an idea, or, you know, you're in the middle of a job that's not exciting, but you have this idea, it's like, God, I trust you. What are you working in right now in me? And how will this get me to what you want me to do?
So
you know,
good.
and having vision for that. Because I think I hear, which is really sweet, people are like, so nice, you know what you want to do. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I started like my first job, I was 15 and I worked in an ice cream shop, and I planned the birthday parties for the ice cream shop. But I'm like, oh my word, that also is such a significant point. So I want you to know, like, no matter where you are, what job you're doing right now, and if you have something else passionate about your heart, you can so pursue that on the side and do different things and whatever that looks like. But anyway, just an encouragement of like, I was always doing random things, but
no, it's true.
It's true.
I think something too that we talked about earlier is a big part of doing any business, and we obviously are so young and just in the beginning years, but I think we both can attest that, you know, your plan will 100% not go to plan. And we were just saying earlier, like, I think the biggest thing we've both learned with doing Parti Packs and doing Overflow is how to pivot well. Because even with Overflow, you know, it started as a ministry, and then Maya and I we're doing these things, and we started doing gatherings, and we had one gathering where we had all this demand for it in Austin, and not one person showed up. Not one person signed up. And we were like, oh my gosh, God, I feel like you're calling us. There was many things like that. And so at the end of all those things, we're like, I feel like, you're calling us to something different, which led to us doing social media management. Yeah. But if we weren't willing to pivot, which in that process, there was hesitation to pivoting, but eventually in God's grace, we were both like, all right, this isn't what we expected it to be, but we're just going to say yes. Yeah. And like you said, it's a daily, like literally anchoring yourself every single day, every single morning to spending time with God, so that it's each day that he reveals what he has for you that day with your business. And I think sometimes we're like, what is my business going to be in a year? And it is great to set goals, but I think Maya and I have realized we don't even know what our business will be in 2 months, because it's just God's always taking it in different ways. And we've just learned the importance of, obedience separate from outcome, and just saying yes and trusting each day instead of trying to figure out what it's going to be in 5 years. So I think just out of that, is there anything else you would want to say to someone who, maybe has this business idea in their head and is scared to start, or even someone who has started and they're at a difficult point of that journey?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think it's like, I'm right there with you. I have to, because each day, we're all like, I think that is something where it's like, oh, I'm in the weeds with you like that too, and knowing like, yes, but even starting a business and doing it, like I was saying, I think like, just think of a few points. Is one is to go for it. What does that look like? Does it look like offering just to plan someone's party, or does it offer to be like, hey, like, I like how you're keeping this budget, or just at work asking a boss, could you explain more to me about that? Yeah. Like, just kind of inquiring. And I think just sticking to being like, okay, did I like that? Did I not like that? I think of a quick story. I wanted to be an accountant originally, and I remember taking the yeah, I know. It's worth that I thought I'd be
party planner to accountant.
No, but it's crazy,
really linear.
And I remember taking the QuickBooks test. I studied and I was like, completely failed it. And I was like, Dad, oh my gosh, I just failed this. I worked so hard. Like, I thought I got this. And he goes, congratulations. Do you want to be an accountant? No, I hated this. He was like, congratulations. No, it's so important to know what you don't want to do than what you do.
True.
So I think just taking action and being like, well, if this is what I'm meant to be, I'll either learn, okay, I like that, and I'll even more importantly learn I don't want to do that.
So good.
So I think that that's a good piece there. And I think second, one thing I've just learned is it is like, whenever you feel the fear and keep going, I think like it's so easy to get caught up. I think the first days of going full time, I'll never forget that week of just being like, I feel so incapable, so stressed, and just hearing all the lies, because I also think when you say yes to what God has for you, the enemy's going to come harder. And I remember that week of just feeling like, whoa, every lie that I haven't even heard or felt, I felt like was being, used against me. And so I just think it's like, you have to trust, that where God's given you vision to be, he will give you the steps to get there.
Wow.
I think of Proverbs. Oh, no. So profound. No. Oh my word. No, well, it's all so from, good. I think of Proverbs where I want to say it's 69 or 1960. I think it's 69, where it's like the, where man plans his ways, but the Lord establishes his steps. And I think about that where it's like, God is so detailed. He's in your steps. He's in your day to day. He's in each moment. And it's all about, I feel like I have to constantly surrender that and just be like, God, you are here. But kind of circling back to that is like, sometimes I have to be like, I'm feeling this fear. Keep going. Like, I think uncomfortability is so good. And I've talked, Brene Brown is so good for some of that too. But it's just so good to fight through. I think any, discomfort you're feeling, I know it's so hard and kind of like similar to finding community, but I think when we push through that, it's like, there's also someone I like to listen to, Jesse Itzler. He's started an amazing company. He's married to Sarah Blakely, who also she just Spanx. Yeah, shout out. It's not sponsored. I'm just kidding.
This is sponsored by Spanx.
Sponsored by Spanx.
Just kidding. Maybe one day.
But and he's like, yes. But when you hit that, last thing I'll say is, I think when you feel like you know, you're nervous about doing something, you feel uncomfortable, but then you hit, you know, you have a capacity level that you think you've already hit. But once you hit that, your confidence just skyrockets. And then you've already climbed one mountain. It's like, okay, now I can look back, see what I did. Let's climb another. And so I think that it's just like looking back to being like, God, I'm going to keep pushing through and fight for this dream that I believe you put in my heart and you direct it. Because I think that's the best.
So good.
But anyway.
Wow. We're just going to end there because you might need to rewind
my word.
2 minutes and listen to that 10 times. I needed to hear that today.
I
really need to hear that today with work. I need to hear that.
Well, and I think last thing is I think no matter, you know, who's ever listening, no matter where you are, what season God has for you, there is going to be hard seasons and different things. And I think, not discrediting anything that anyone's going through, but I think it's like, I'm going to push through. Let's climb this mountain together, God. Get me where you want me. And I want to look back at all the mountains we've already climbed. Yeah. And so I think just coming back to that of like, I'm capable and I can do this.
So true. And last thing, I know I said it, we would end there, but really quick, you don't have to start a business to be found successful. I think that there have been so many times I've worked for people. I've done random jobs working at a hamburger food truck, whatever. And you learn so much in any role that God places you in. And I think everything Abby said can be applied to you, whether you've started a business, whether you are at the bottom of the totem pole in a business, whether you're climbing the ladder, whatever it is, wherever you find yourself, any of that advice is so applicable. And so I just hope that this conversation met you wherever you're at, community-wise, whether you're wanting to start a business, whether you're in the trenches of your job. I'm so, so grateful that you decided to come on and join us and share your wisdom. Good gosh. I feel like I could write like 10 of these quotes that you've said during this.
No. Well, our cups are overflowing. I gotta point
our
to the
matchas are almost empty.
I know.
Shout out Wanda.
If
you're ever in Niceville,
literally one of the best matchas I've ever had.
Phenomenal.
I think it's the best.
It's phenomenal.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, and thank you, Xander, for all the work. And Maya.
Yeah, shout out Maya wherever you are. This will not be the last time that you are on the podcast. I cannot wait for round 2.
Round 2. Oh,
it's coming. Sometime soon. All right, guys. Well, we hope you have an amazing rest of your day, whether it's the morning or the night or noon or whatever time it is. We hope you have an amazing day. We love you, and we'll see you next time.